In this video, I want to explain how humor has saved my life many times. How humor is actually freeing me from suffering and how it can free you from suffering as well. Hey, I'm Vegan, this is Psychedelic Actualization. I love to help people integrate their psychedelic experiences. Right? I see so many people going into psychedelic space and then not being able to integrate the lessons that they have learned in their everyday life. Right? So it's really important to me to serve in that field, right? And humor plays into this actually, kind of like making life more fun, right? That's my job basically. It's to let you enjoy life more by understanding these principles and these lessons that I have gathered from my psychedelic experiences, but also from work with many clients to make life more enjoyable, more lighthearted. So if you're curious about that, and you want to talk to me, book a discovery call and check out our community, our psychedelic actualization community, where we work together to make that happen. So humor is one of my top 10 values. I think it's on around number 9 or 10, so on the lower end. But humor is a very interesting word. I was reflecting on my values and I was reflecting on what does humor actually mean to me. And it's interesting what came up. I talked to my coach about it, and what came up is that humor is not just about making jokes. It's not just about being funny in social situations for me. It's about making my mind a place that is fun to live in. Making my mind a place of enjoyment, of laughter, of fun. Because that's the whole point of being here. Like, at least for me, I value having fun, because if it's not fun, if your life is not fun, then it's not fun. It's a very simple statement. If it's not fun, then it's not fun. Right? But how can you make it fun? And you have the freedom. I discovered I have the freedom. You have the freedom to make your life fun by implementing a sense of humor. So humor for me is kind of like, it's a lightheartedness, taking every situation with a lightheartedness, not wanting things to be different, but having a perspective on the situation that feels light, not heavy. It feels light, it feels open, you know? It's like there's bazillions of mosquitoes right here, right now, all around me. They're biting me every single second. How can I choose to perceive the situation in a way that's fun and not like I'm annoyed, I'm distracted, I'm like, I want things to be different, I want to scratch myself, right? How can I make that fun in my mind? There is a possibility to do that and to basically kind of like reframe every situation as a situation that is enjoyable, aligned with your perspective and your way of being, basically freeing you from suffering, freeing you from that catabolic draining down energy, to actually be uplifted, to have fun, to enjoy that situation. Whatever it might be. In some situations, I recognize it's more difficult, right? It's a practice, but it's more difficult than in others. But even in psychedelic space, for example, itself, I kind of recognized this practice of cultivating humor, this self-talk that is going on in your mind all the time is directing your psychedelic experience in a way, right? So if you say, oh, please, like remove that anaconda. Is like, please, I'm afraid. Please remove that anaconda, dear shaman. I don't want this anaconda to eat me now. That's a perspective that might lead to tension, fear, trauma, a bad trip, like a heavy psychedelic experience. But in the experience itself, when you meet that entity, when you meet that animal, when you meet that experience in your psychedelic trip, and I recognize that it can feel more real than real, and it's terrifying at times, there is still the freedom to choose the perspective that is fun. Like, oh, I wonder what the inside of that anaconda is looking like. Like, let's Like, how can I jump into the mouth of that anaconda with my consciousness in the most elegant and eloquent and excellent way possible? You see, even though there's still a recognition of that fear, it's terrifying, it's unknown, I don't know if I'm going to survive that jump into the anaconda's mouth that wants to eat me, but I choose to perceive it in a way that's fun. It's like it makes the whole situation more enjoyable. And that's a very extreme example. I haven't experienced it in that specific way, but I have been in similar experiences in psychedelic journeys. And at times it's tough, you know? At times it's really tough if that sickness is hitting you. I've been sick for over 1 year. Now I'm here in Madagascar. I got typhoid fever. There's salmonella. I have to get antibiotics injected into my body every day, and it hurts. And I felt like all the life force energy was sucked out of me. To keep the perspective of humor in that situation is basically, it's a life-saving skill. When suicidal thoughts come up of oh, I don't know if life is worth living anymore with that sickness, to keep that light-hearted, fun, humorous perspective on things, that's it's an art form. And it's something I dearly, truly value, and I recommend you cultivating that skill of seeing things in an aligned way, seeing things in a way that are fun, right? Make things fun for you, make life fun for you. The good situations and the bad situations. Approach it with an internal laughter. Oh wow, I was sick for a year and now I have typhoid fever. That's how bad can it get? And it's I don't know, I like a little bit of sarcasm, but it's the flavor you can choose for yourself of that internal dialogue that is going on, that is basically welcoming everything in and also integrating a certain sense of openness to life, a certain sense of spontaneity, a certain sense of playfulness with the moment, with what is emerging, what life is presenting you, what life is blessing you with. I think it's an honor. It's almost I feel like it's almost like my duty to appreciate and enjoy that, to have fun with that, to see it in a humorous way, right? And then express that. And then just the jokes or the expression of that to others, that's just the surface level that is emerging out of that value of humor and that skill and that cultivation of humor from the innermost depth of my being. And it's it's a paradox, right? Because these extreme examples that I explained and showed you here are serious stuff. It's serious business, right? I'm gonna die, with this sickness. There might be a potential. It hurts. There's pain. Embracing the paradox is an important point of recognizing that humor and suffering can exist at the same time. That's one I have been learning on my path regarding my spiritual emergency. You can watch the video series and download the ebook regarding that and the description right here, where I suffered in terrifying anxiety for 3 months. Even in that experience of suffering, an experience of great suffering that seems hopeless and I don't know, you can't escape it, it's gonna be, you're doomed in hell forever. That can coexist with humor and lightheartedness. And it sounds difficult because suffering is it's by definition the opposite of having fun, right? But both can exist at the same time, I've found. And it's hard to wrap your mind around it. Don't try to understand what I'm saying, but try to feel it. In a meta perspective, there can be an awareness that is playful, that is humorous, that is lighthearted, that knows that everything is going to be okay in the end, on the relative experience of suffering, of the human experience that is emerging in the moment. So approaching your mind on different layers and recognizing the paradoxes that suffering and having fun can exist at the same time. And even though it's difficult, right, and on a relative level you think it's serious business if you die, or if your friend is dying, or if a family member is dying, or if you get bitten by mosquitoes, or if you, whatever, if you go bankrupt, you lose all your money, you make all the money, all that stuff we think is serious business, but humor is breaking that seriousness into... It basically dissolves that seriousness of the relative level that our ego mind is trying to tell us, like, take this seriously. Because nothing is serious. Look at it. I think it was Osho, and I'm paraphrasing, who said it's like, enlightenment is kind of like being free from seriousness. It's like nothing is serious. Look at this, like, reality, like everything, it's ridiculous. It's so fun, like it's hilarious how much we're suffering, how human development and evolution is unfolding, all the wars, all the suffering, all the horrible stuff. Don't get me wrong, there's a heart and a place for that, to acknowledge and appreciate that suffering, but it's ridiculous on a bigger scale. It's like, yeah, the satori, the awakening, my deepest awakenings have been accompanied with loud, deep belly laughter, because you recognize it's a joke. Your life is a joke. This reality, it's a joke. It's the cosmic joke. Existence is a joke. And when you get that joke, it's infinite, inexhaustible laughter that is emerging. And the integration of that inexhaustible laughter, of the realization of the cosmic joke, is your psychedelic integration. Right? That's the psychedelic integration. The integration of the perspective of humor, the cultivation of that lightheartedness, of that realization, of that glimpse of awakening that you might have experienced, of that laughter. Remember that laughter and what you felt in that experience, and integrate that in your day-to-day perception and approach to things and experiences, like the mosquitoes. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I can just say it's so good. It's worth it. It's worth it to value humor in the sense that I kind of try to express it here today with you. If you're curious in working with me one-on-one, you can book a free one-on-one consultation, and we can have a look at your life, at your vision of how you want to perceive things, and we can explore if we might want to work together. Otherwise, as I said, look at the school community, or if you don't want to pay anything for anything from me and not work with me in that way, there's a free ebook as well. It's called 5 Steps to Integrate Your Psychedelic Insights into Day-to-Day Life. Something along those lines. Got that wrong. Much love, many blessings. Hope you're having fun today. Enjoy, and see you on the other side.